foodie fans, today we're going to cook something that my family was actually famous for. My mother and my great aunt, God bless them and rest their souls, were known for making, of all things, chicken spaghetti. While y'all wasn't looking, I seasoned up this chicken with the usual suspects: Cajun seasoning, Crystal hot sauce, and Lee & Perrin Worcestershire sauce. Somebody had made a comment saying that they weren't sure about the Lee & Perrin original Worcestershire sauce being gluten-free. Well, after spending the morning doing some research and everything, the manufacturer assures us that it is. Different people have different allergies, and I'm not surprised that somebody might have had a reaction. However, they do guarantee us that it is indeed gluten-free. Okay, we're putting the chicken in the old black iron pot to brown. In the bottom of the pot, we had a couple of tablespoons of drippings. It was actually the leftover oil from the etouffee we made. Here's the chicken drippings going in the pot. And we're going to let that brown. So there we go. Step one. Cajun style chicken spaghetti. Alright. Chopping an onion is child's play. You just lop off the bottom of the onion, lop off the top of the onion, make one cut down the side, peel the peelings off, and here you have an onion. All these fancy chefs make such a big deal out of it. Cut the thing in half, lay it down. Cut the thing 4 or 5 times one way, 4 or 5 times the other way, and you have half a chopped onion. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now those big time chefs are always saying, oh, they must all be evenly chopped in nice even looking pieces. Bull. Some of them are small. Some of them are bigger. They all go into the pot. The small ones go into the gravy. The bigger pieces stay kind of whole. It's just, it all comes together in a wonderful melody. Anyway, there's the onions. Okay, so while the chicken's sizzling away in the black iron pot, I chopped up about 3 cups of onions, and I'm adding to the onions some fresh smoked sausage that a friend of ours gave us. It's homemade from his smokehouse. And what I'm doing, instead of just slicing it, I'm quartering the sausage before slicing. So I'm creating a little quarter rounds that's going to go better into the tomato gravy and won't be such big pieces. They've chopped into little quarter round pieces, if you can see. It also helps stretch the sausage so it goes a little further. As always, anytime I'm slicing sausage in the kitchen, I immediately get attention of my little fuzzy buddy, who's a genuine sausage connoisseur. So anyhow, along with the 3 cups of onions goes about a ½ pound of beautiful smoked sausage. Homemade, straight out of a friend's smokehouse. It just don't hardly get no better. Now, once they're sliced into quarters, I'll dice them up into little pieces. And all but one of the little pieces go into the bowl with the onions. The last little piece is for my buddy. Alright. Bet some of y'all wish y'all were down there with him getting smoked sausage samples. Alright, the chicken's been simmering away for about 15 minutes now. I flipped it over once and I got it browned. The problem with these little fryers is if you cook them the whole time the dish is being cooked, they just fall to pieces. They're so tender. So out they come into the old purple bowl. LSU colors, by the way. And we're going to set them offside. You'll notice what's left in the bottom of the pot is this beautiful kind of brown in color. The smell is amazing, by the way. The drippings from the chicken. Okay, into the chicken drippings goes the onions and the sausage. And we'll let that simmer away for a few minutes. It's a good start to what's going to be a fine sauce. Onions are about halfway cooked. So to them I'm going to add these button mushroom stems and pieces. So little 7-ounce can of bits and pieces that I've drained, and they go in the pot. These things are canned in water. Also into the pot goes a can of original raw tail tomatoes with green chilies. And a can of Hunt's diced tomatoes, gluten-free, into the pot. Now we're going to stir all that up and let it continue cooking down. And at this point we're going to add half a dozen toes of garlic that I chopped up. Now before I get hate mail from Italians saying you don't put onion and garlic in the same pot, I'd like to inform you I am not an Italian. And this is the way my mother and my great aunt made their homemade chicken spaghetti. And trust me, it was famous in the family. Okay, so here we go with cooking. Okay, the tomato, onion, sausage, etc. concoction has been simmering away into chicken juices for about 20 minutes now, steady reducing. It's cooking along quite nicely. I'm going to continue to reduce it, stirring so it doesn't stick for a few more minutes. And we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, we're really starting to get it to cook down now. Most all the liquid has cooked out of it. And I'm pretty much steady stirring, steady reducing, and kind of sauteing these tomato, onion, sausage, etc. goodies down into a almost like pasty consistency. But I'm literally browning the tomatoes a little. And the trick is, if you'll come look back down into the bottom of the pot, the tomatoes and onions and everything are cooking away. You'll notice they're thickening up so that you can literally pull a hole into the bottom of the pot. Well, the old folks say you keep cooking until the liquid that comes into that hole is clear. You'll notice that there's tomato sauce coming into the hole. So we got to keep stirring. But when we reach the point where we make the hole and the only thing that comes to the middle is the clear liquid, which is the actual oil, the infused butter that we use to start this. That'll tell you that all the liquid has cooked out of these tomatoes. At which point we'll begin to build the gravy. So right now we're still sauteing this all down. Okay, we have reached the point where all the moisture is out of the tomato-onion mixture, and we are literally sauteing it. You'll notice you make a big hole in it, it stands up, and the only thing coming to the very edge is clear, which means all the tomato juice have cooked out of it. So you got to watch it at this point. Keep stirring, because you're literally frying this down at this point. It doesn't have any moisture in it. Of course, if you get in a bind and it starts to stick, don't worry. All you got to do is grab water, wine, beer, whatever you got handy, and pour a little in the pot. That will immediately cool everything off and stop it from scorching. This is a celiac approved gluten-free beverage made by Anheuser-Busch called Redbridge. As far as drinking straight up, it's not my favorite beer, but it works good for deglazing the pot. Peggy can have it with her gluten-free requirements.
Yuck.
So it comes in handy that way. Well, it's not to drink. She tried it. She don't like it. But it does help with the cooking. Okay, now that we've been sauteing, reducing, simmering the tomatoes down until they're barely recognizable as their former selves, I'm just going to pour the water to it and stir until I build the gravy. Now, you'll notice that my tomato gravy has a decidedly brown color. Well, it's from sauteing all the tomatoes and the onions and everything down. But have no fear. We're going to let this come to a simmer. Then we're going to break out a couple of Cajun secrets from my mama's bag of tricks to make this sauce just downright delectable. Now that it's starting to come together, the tomatoes are melting and the sauce is thickening, I'm going to do a little something to brighten it up. Okay, the sauce has come together nicely. May my mother forgive me, I'm about to tell a little trick she used. Ketchup, which just happens to be Heinz in this case, which is gluten-free. I'm going to squeeze about half a cup or so of ketchup into our tomato sauce, into our gravy, and that immediately lightens the color up into a slightly more tomato looking sauce. So you have the tomatoes that are cooked down and sauteed down almost to the point of caramelization in here, but yet the ketchup brightens it and gives it that almost tomatoey sauce. Man, I sure hope Mama don't haunt my dreams tonight for me giving away her little secrets to making her luscious chicken spaghetti. But I think the world needs to know. This is an amazing sauce. You know, and at the point we're at right now, if instead of chicken you just dropped in raw fish, at this stage of the game you could call it a courtbouillon, which is a thin tomato gravy with fish cooked in it. But we're going to take it up a notch and just give it a good little stir. I'm just about ready to add another one of Mama's secret ingredients. This is cane syrup. It's thick, it's dark, it's rich, it's almost molasses. But since we have sugarcane growing across the street from our house, I'm going to put a touch of this in there. And just that tablespoon of syrup, it's going to turn down the acid from the tomatoes and give a little secret flavor to the sauce. It's an acquired taste because it's a strong syrup. But it is delicious. Now I feel sure that you folks can probably find this in most upscale grocery stores. This is 100% original Steen's cane syrup. Like I said, it's strong, so some of you maple people may not appreciate it. There's also some blended that's like half cane and half maple. But anyway, now that our gravy is pretty well built the way we want it to be, in goes a bell pepper, julienned and then cut into 3 so the pieces are kind of long. We want them chunky to be a part of the sauce. So that's 1 bell pepper going in. We're going to stir that up and put the chicken back in. The chicken thighs, which are about halfway cooked, they've been browned, go back into the pot and get covered up in the gravy. Okay, at this point, we're going to slam the lid on, turn the heat to a simmer, and let it cook about a half hour or so. I'm sure all of our gluten-free friends are wondering what kind of spaghetti we're going to use in this chicken spaghetti. Well, here is SCHAR spaghetti. It is pretty good stuff. Lord knows we have tried many brands over the years searching for a good gluten-free product. Trust me, we have found stuff that melted away into goo. We found stuff that welded itself together into thumb-thick pieces of almost pasta. We found horrible pasta substitutes. But after years of searching, we've narrowed down a couple of really good brands, and trust us, this is one of them. You'll see as we cook it. Now here's a little hint. What my mama used to do is take the spaghetti and just put it straight into the pot and cook it. But this stuff gives off a little too much starch to do it. So we're going to cook it about halfway in a pot of boiling water before we add it to the sauce. Okay, the pasta, which is about halfway cooked in boiling water, goes into the pot of spaghetti sauce. Once we get it all in there, she'll get stirred around where it can finish cooking and drinking the spaghetti sauce. That's another one of those little Cajun tricks where your pasta actually cooks in the spaghetti sauce and absorbs the flavor of the sauce into the noodle. Okay folks, here it is. Old-fashioned chicken spaghetti. Looks good. Tastes delicious, mais ça c'est bon. Mama, please forgive me for giving away a couple of your family secrets, but it's just too good not to share.